Hi everyone, this is Donna, the Technology and Media Librarian for the Upper Arlington Public Library. I'm back with the second in our Basics of OneDrive video series. As we saw in the last video, you can use the Microsoft OneDrive Cloud Storage service to store existing files and to create new files. Again, think of OneDrive as very comparable to Dropbox, which you can also use for cloud storage, or comparable to Google Drive or iCloud, both of which are also free and also offer you both free online storage, but also free online software for document creation. Just to recap, OneDrive will let you upload existing files from your computer or flash drive, external hard drive, so that you can store them, share them, and sync your access to those files across any devices that also have the OneDrive app and are logged into the same OneDrive account. And it will give you access to the online versions of Microsoft Office programs like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So any documents, spreadsheets, or presentations you create while using those online versions are automatically saved to your OneDrive account. So now you have the ability to create new files. Whether you upload a file, create a new file, you can download those files back to your personal device, such as your computer or your flash drive, and then you would have both a cloud and a local storage version of those files. And you can also share those files that you create or that you upload with others directly from OneDrive. And then this would be compared to, for example, downloading a file, attaching it to an email to another person. It just saves you a few additional steps, which are basically downloading, opening your email provider, creating a new email, finding and attaching a file from your device, and then sending your email. So this really streamlines that process. In this video, we're going to talk about all of those things and demonstrate how you can do all of the following, which is store your files, then create your files, and then finally we'll demonstrate how you can share files with others. So we'll go ahead and get started talking about file storage. So always in the top left of your screen, you can see the current application that we're using, and then click on your app menu to see all of the other options that are available to you. We can always switch to another application by clicking on this app menu and then clicking on them to switch. It'll open in a new tab. And then over here on the right side of your screen, you'll always have your account information here. You can click on the icon with the initials so that you can get your account settings. And more specifically, you do want to sign out if you are on a shared computer or on a public computer. So always click here and click sign out if you want to make sure that that's not available to anybody else using your computer. And then the last thing I want to demonstrate is also up here at the top of the screen, and where we're really going to be focusing for this portion of the video, is our new button. This is where we create new folders to organize our OneDrive files, and we also create new files that are then saved to OneDrive. So if you have a lot of files, creating folders and moving similar files into a folder that groups them all together is an excellent way to find exactly what you need immediately. So what we're going to do, click here on our new button and select folder from our drop-down list. Right away, OneDrive will prompt you to name your folder, so be sure to provide your folder with a name that helps you identify instantly what the contents of that folder are. That's just good organizational naming practice in general. You don't want to have a bunch of folders called documents or files because it's hard to distinguish one from another, or it's hard to tell what's in those folders. So once you've given it a name, and then mine I'm going to call resume. Resumes. Resumes are always my favorite example to use in these kinds of instructional programs for a very good reason, which is most of us have had to deal with them at some point, and most of us have had quite a lot of resumes, like a history of resumes or different types. So those are what I always like to use. Right away, give it a name, and once you do that and click create, that folder will appear in the My Files section of OneDrive. So it's right here, and it was modified just now. So we're already set with a new folder. A couple of things to note. The first is that you can rename your folders at any time. So if you find that this no longer applies as resumes, you need to change how you've named your folder, you can always do that at any point. Once you select your folder, you can see up here at the top, we've added quite a few new menu buttons. So the one you're looking for if you want to rename your folder, appropriately enough, is entitled Rename. So we can click here and you can type a new name for your folder and then click Save. So if you wanted to call this Resumes and Cover Letters, for example, you can click Save. And now it's Resumes and Cover Letters. So once you've created a folder, you can then drag and drop files into that folder. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now also. I have this test document 1 that I created in the previous part of our video, and using our mouse we can just drag that file right into our folder. You can see document 1, 2 resumes and cover letters. If you're not a drag and drop person, if you don't like using the mouse, you don't like using your trackpad, you can also click on a file, and then also up here when you click on a file, you get some new menu options up at the top. What we're looking for is Move To, and you can select another area of My Files where you'd like to move that file. So in this case, I'm going to put it in Resumes and Cover Letters, and once I select that, I'm going to click Move, and you can see my file is now in Resumes and Cover Letters. It's no longer in the main files screen, even though it's still included in OneDrive. Next thing I want to point out is that if you are using cloud storage to back up or create lots of files, chances are very good that you are developing some kind of file and folder hierarchy to organize your files in greater depth. So that can mean creating folders within folders, aka subfolders. And to do that, you just want to double click on a folder to open it. I'm going to use this Resumes and Cover Letters folder as my example. You can see now that it's open, document 1 is stored in here. But if you now click on the New button at the top of your screen, when we click Folder, I'm going to call this one, we'll say this is the specific cover letter section of this folder, and we click Create, this folder is now embedded specifically within Resumes and Cover Letters. If you go back to My Files, it's not going to show up because it's a new folder within Resumes and Cover Letters. And you can move it out of there if at any point you decide that this needs to be like a main level folder and not within, a folder within a folder. So you can create subfolders, and then you can have your resumes in one area, your cover letters in another, and that'll help you keep better organizational power over your files. So, and then again, if you've moved anything here into cover letters, you can double click on it and you can see any folders that are embedded with your subfolder. So that keeps everything a little bit neat and organized, and you can kind of follow a file path to understand what's in which folder in the general My Files section of your OneDrive account. You can also see up here at the top, if you are creating subfolders, you can go back to the previous folder by clicking on its name. So we're in cover letters here. Cover letters is within resumes and cover letters. So you can click back one to go back a step, and then to go back to its main folder, which is My Files, you'd click here to go back. So it'll let you follow those breadcrumbs of all the embedded folders. And then finally, on the My Files display screen, you can see, if you are using the list view of your My Files screen, you can see details about all the files and the folders on that screen. So that includes the last date they were modified. This one obviously is just a few minutes ago. You can also see the size of the folder and anything within it, which is also really important, especially if, as you remember from the last video, you're mindful of your storage space since you only have 5 gigabytes. And then you can also see whether or not any of the contents of your My Files main folder have been shared. Right now all of these are private, but at any point you can change those to a shared folder or to a shared file, and you would see that indicated here. So later in the video we'll go through the steps of sharing a file so you can see how that status will change. Next on our screen we have the Upload button, which offers 2 options for uploading files or folder. When we upload a file, we create a copy of a local storage file that we then move to cloud-based storage. So the original will remain on your computer, flash drive, external hard drive, whatever device that is the local device you're using for uploads. But OneDrive will also give you the option not just to upload a file or a couple of files at a time, but an entire folder's worth of files, and that will copy over the name of the folder, the contents of the folder, any subfolders, and the way that files are organized within each of those. So you get the entire folder all at once onto OneDrive. First, we're going to upload a file. As an example, if we click on this Upload Files button, we'll be prompted with a dialog box from our device that asks us to locate and select the file that we want to upload. In this case, I'm going to select this test document and click Open. Once it's done, you can see it's saying uploaded one item to My Files over here, and then here is the file itself. So it's already organized in just the general My Files section of OneDrive. And then you can, drag and drop it, move it into a new folder or an existing folder, however you need to, or just leave it in My Files. It's completely up to you. So anywhere now that I access OneDrive with this account, I can also access this test file. If you want to upload an entire folder's worth of files, you'd go back up to your Upload button, click Folder, and now you can see I don't have the option to select that individual file. It's only giving me the option to select an entire folder. So I'm going to locate a folder on my device. We're going to do Basics of OneDrive, and let's say I want this entire folder uploaded to my OneDrive account, and I'll select the folder, click Upload, and it will ask me to confirm all of the information. There's 3 files within that folder. When I click Upload, it says it's uploaded 4 items because it's including the 3 files plus the folder. But you can see that Basics of OneDrive folder, formerly on my desktop, is now located here inside My Files of OneDrive. So I've got an example image, an example PDF, and then an additional test document. So I can go back to My Files and do whatever I need to with this Basics of OneDrive file. I can delete it. I'm going to show you that at the end of this video. I can move it to another folder. I can rename it if I need to. So, and I can also do the same right here for my test document. So again, I've got some additional options for what I can do with that. One of those options, of course, is downloading a file back to local storage. So if you want to move a file from your cloud storage, such as OneDrive, back to a personal device, you can download it. What we'll do is click here on, we'll say this file in particular. Once you've selected it, then a download button will appear. So obviously there's no downloading without something selected. So once you click, you'll get that download option. We'll take this file and click download. I'm using Google Chrome for this series of videos, so you could see my copy of this test document file is now down here at the bottom of my screen, or it'll be in the downloads folder on my computer, and I can move it, wherever I need to, flash drive, external hard drive, etc. And we can do the same when we select a file or a folder. We see that we have now a delete option. So if you need to delete a file or delete an entire folder from OneDrive, just select it, and at the menu, click on your delete button. It'll give you a pop-up message telling you you've deleted this one item from My Files. If you delete a file from within a folder, for example, this example image, if I click delete, my pop-up says deleted one item, and now it tells me it's from the Basics of OneDrive folder from within My Files. And it's not gone instantly from OneDrive. All of your deleted files and folders will be here in your recycle bin, so you can access that from the menu here on your left. Once you click on recycle bin, you can opt to select files individually or all at once. You can empty your recycle bin en masse, or you can delete files permanently from your recycle bin one at a time, and ditto for restoring them. So if you want to restore all items in your recycle bin to get them back to your files, you can do that, or you can select them and restore them one at a time. So that's it for file storage. In the next part of our video, we're going through the steps to create a file using Office for the web. So we'll be right back. In addition to storing files that we have already created and that are stored on another device, we can also create files directly in OneDrive. Once created, they will also be automatically stored in OneDrive for later access or for sharing. To do that, we'll need to open the software programs that we plan to use, and we can do that in one of 2 ways. The first we demonstrated in our introductory video, which is to click on the New button here, and then select a new blank document from the software programs on this drop-down list. Another way to access your online versions of software programs is to go to the App Launcher in the top left corner of your screen and select Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so forth from this App Launcher. So I'll illustrate briefly what it looks like to do the App Launcher, and then I'll come back and show you how you can create a new document from scratch here. So if we go to our App Launcher, I'll use the Microsoft Word Online version to open a Word document. So when you open from the App Launcher, you have a slightly different version of this initial screen. You can create a new blank document. You can select a document template style here or click More Templates. You can see your recent documents down at the bottom of the screen. So these are recent from OneDrive. And what you can also do is click this upload and open button so you can upload a file directly from your computer into Word for the purposes of editing. And that would apply to Excel and PowerPoint as well. So I'm going to show you what that looks like first. And this would be if we have an existing Word document that we'd like to edit in the online version of Word and then save that to OneDrive. So we can click upload and open. It'll ask us to find a file with a compatible format. And this one is our test document. We can click open, and then it'll launch in the online Word program for us to edit. So just give that a moment. So here it is. And this screen is going to look the same whether you start a blank document from scratch or if you upload and edit a document from your computer or whether you edit a document from OneDrive. You'll have your document title up here at the top of the screen. You can click to edit that file name by typing here where it's highlighted. You can edit any of the words on your screen here using the commands up in the ribbon at the top of the screen. So that's what this would look like from the app launcher. In order to get back to OneDrive, you can click here on the app launcher and click back on OneDrive. And just know that as you are typing this document, if you change the name of your document, all of that is saving automatically to OneDrive. So we're going to go back to our OneDrive My Files main screen, and then we'll create a new blank document from this screen so that we have a fresh document from scratch. So we will come up here to New. We'll do this again in Word. This time it'll open in another tab on our screen. And here we can start our document from the very beginning. We can click up here and change the name of our document. So I'll call this sample document for editing purposes. And then we can type here in our document. So once you've typed it, you can highlight it. And then again, if you are familiar with Microsoft Word, then you're familiar with the ribbon organization for your commands. So everything is organized first by tab, running along the top of the screen from left to right. And then each command is grouped together. So you'll have your clipboard, your fonts, your paragraph styles, and you can click on each of these tabs to see all of the commands that are within them. Again, not all of the commands that would be present in the desktop application are here, but the really familiar ones and a lot of the ones that are very critical to creating a Word document or an Excel or PowerPoint document are present. So headers and footers, changing your font style, all of that's present here. As you are making those changes, everything is saving automatically to OneDrive. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you're editing, you are saving, and if you're saving, it's backed up in your cloud storage, which again, so handy, so efficient. And then we're going to do another test exercises video for OneDrive, similar to our Basics of iCloud program, and you'll get to see this without my narration, but in a much longer form, how you would access all of these different features. But right now we've created a sample document, and if we'd like to go back to the main OneDrive screen at any time, it's actually up here in a tab in our browser, so we can switch back and forth. And you can see here's my sample document for editing purposes is already saved, as is my test document, so they're already here. But if I wanted to, I could also click here on the app launcher. Here I am in OneDrive again, and then my files are open. I do want to show you just the last thing before we close this out and move on to file sharing is what you can do with the File menu on your Word documents. If you click the File menu, not only can you create a new document from File, very similar to how you would for the Microsoft desktop applications, but you can also open recent documents from OneDrive and access more of those files by clicking here. If we click on Save As, we can save an additional copy to OneDrive. We can rename the files, download copies as Microsoft Word copies or PDF. And then again, there's no save button because it's all automatically saving. You will see here too that if you need to share a file while that file is open, you can do so from the Share button and click Share with People. And you can also share your files from OneDrive from right here. And we're going to show you that in the next part of this video. Stay tuned. In this last part of our video, I will show you how you can share a file. If you're planning to share a file or even an entire folder that you've created or that you've uploaded, you can do so directly through OneDrive or directly from the document itself. To get started, you'll first want to select the file in question. I'm just going to select the sample document. And once I've done so, you can see at the top of the screen there's a share button now. And you can click on this button to get your sharing options. So you'll have a couple of different ways that you can share a file. You send a link either to a specific person or anyone who has that link, which means you can post it publicly or you can send it to someone via email, whatever you'd like to do. So you can click here and say anyone with the link either can edit this file, or if we uncheck this box, anyone with the link can view the file, or we can say a specific person or specific people can view this file, or if we click this, then we would allow editing for just those specific people. If you select specific people, then you would send the emailed link directly through OneDrive. Be cautious though, because the people to whom you email these links must have Microsoft accounts. So it is intended collaboration for other Microsoft users. If you're sending it to people who do not have Microsoft accounts, then anyone with the link might be a better option. When you're doing anyone with the link, always be cautious of what permissions you're providing for that file. You can share with specific people and then you can track and control who has access and who can make those edits. If you do anyone with the link and you allow editing, or even if you just allow viewing, you really have no control over who gets the file after you've sent out that link. You'll also see here there's expiration date and set password. These are both premium features, so not accessible to us with our free version of OneDrive. But if it is something that you're interested in, it is part of our resources in the downloadable handouts with more information about file sharing settings, whether or not you have the free or one of the premium versions of OneDrive. So for this particular file, I'm going to say we'll send this to specific people. I will not allow editing, but I will allow just a specific person to get this link and access the file. We'll go ahead and type in the email address to which we'd like to send it. And again, this is for another Microsoft user. If the person to whom you're sending this does not have a Microsoft account, you will get a little notice in red telling you not a Microsoft account. You can add a message here and then click send. And then it'll tell you that the link to my sample document was sent. You'll also notice here in my files that this file, which previously said private, I'm just going to refresh my screen, is now a shared file. And if you have shared a file with someone, whether you've generated a link or if you've sent it to specific people, that shared option will be here, but you can remove sharing and stop sharing at any time. So here you can click shared. You'll get this manage access panel open. I've shared it with just a specific person at this time, so I can either change their permissions and allow them to edit, or I can say I'd like to stop sharing altogether. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, close this out, and now my sharing status has gone from shared to private. If I generated a link, so if I clicked share and I said anyone with this link can view my file, and I applied, and let's say copied the link. We'll go ahead and refresh my page one more time. Again, this file now says shared. It's not shared with a specific person, but it has generated a link, and I can click here to remove that link, and if I'd like to share it again, I have to create a new one. I can click here to do that. It'll look similar if I open up a file, so let's take this test document, and I'll show you how you can share directly from a file that's already open. So if we go here to File, and then Share, and Share with People, here's that same send link pop-up box that we get where you can apply any of the permissions as necessary. So we're just going to click there, close this out. We're back to OneDrive, and that's really it. You just want to make sure that you are sharing with the correct people and giving them the permissions that are necessary for you either to collaborate or to make sure that edits can't be made to a file that you've created. These are the basic functions for using OneDrive. In the next video, we'll demonstrate the entire process of uploading files, creating and editing files, and then sharing files so you can follow along and see the process from start to finish. That next video of test exercises will not feature narration, but it will have some text on the screen to give you instructions. And of course, we always have downloadable handouts available on our media services page. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy the test exercises video.